Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, my name is Siti Maharani from class 4C with student ID number 080. Here I want to tell you about the novel entitled Suicide Notes by Miss Michelle Thomas Ford. So please enjoy the story. The story is about a 15-year-old boy named Jeff who wakes up in a metal world after attempting suicide on New Year's Eve. When he woke up, he had no recollection of what had happened earlier. He also didn't feel that he was crazy, so he didn't understand why he was in the soul ward. The doctor ran a 45-day program for him. The program is run to find out why Jeff attempted suicide. In the day 1, Jeff is confused when he wakes up to find himself in a hospital. He didn't remember what happened to him before. However, those around him said that he had attempted suicide and nearly died, then was taken to the hospital where he was. In the day 2, he was surprised that he was in mental hospital ward. He told Goody, his nurse, that he wasn't crazy. Goody didn't say he was crazy and suggested he talk to Dr. Katsrupus. What's funny here, he can say his name and called him Dr. Cat Poops. And the doctor said that he was in a 45-day program. In the day 3, he met his new friends there. There were 4 of them and 1 of him. Each of them has their own problems and reasons for getting there. He has new friend named Sadie, then became his close friend there. In the day 4, he began to tell Cat Poops more things than the previous day. Jeff tells about his family and 4 strange new friends. He said that family was a normal family, so there was no reason for him to commit suicide. He only had the alibi that he was a teenager who sometimes got bored easily and did stupid things. Right now, all he wanted was to get out of there, which Cat Poops certainly wouldn't allow. In the day 5, Jeff woke from his sleep that night, having had a disturbing dream. Then he came out of his room to sit and watch television while getting some fresh air. He came across Sadie, who was seated in front of the television. Then Sadie told him to sit next to her, and she began to imitate a movie dialogue. Jeff agreed to do the dialogue with Sadie. Then they spent the night together watching TV. In the day 6, he talked of his pen pal in 7th grade social studies during his session with Cat Poops. He asked Jeff to tell him why he killed himself, because that's the only way he can help Jeff. However, Jeff actually made up a story about the reason so that he could get home from there as soon as possible. Then Cat Poops realized that and closed their session for the day. In the day 7, Sadie wrote a letter to her best friend, and it reminded Jeff of his best friend, Ellie. He wanted to do something similar to Sadie's, but he thought it would be best if he told her in person. They talked about the session that Sadie had. She told him about her father, about how hard she tried to get her father's attention and love. In the day 8, his parents came to visit him. He asked about everyone like Amy, his friends at school and Ellie. They told to them that Jeff was sick, but Ellie didn't ask anything about him. They said that they loved Jeff and wanted him to get better. Cat Poops asked about Ellie, and Jeff said that Ellie was his best friend at school. In the day 9, Cat Poops asked them to do the exercise in pairs. Jeff wanted to partner with Sadie, but unfortunately he had to partner with Juliet. The exercise requires them to do something with a certain expression and without saying anything. Juliet looked so sad in Jeff's eyes. It reminded him of the bear he saw with his parents at the zoo. In the day 10, he couldn't sleep again. He met Sadie sitting in the couch and reading a magazine. They talked to spend the night. Sadie asked his reason got here, and he said that he was complicated. Sadie thought that everyone thought they were complicated, but actually they were only something wrong. Jeff didn't talk too much about it, and they played a dialogue again. In the day 11, Jeff and the other 4 had pancakes for breakfast. There was sausage too. Ellie saw the sausage, played with it, and said, "This little piggy burned up." She remembered the behavior of her mother's boyfriend, who often came to her room to sleep with her. Then one day she poured liquid on him which burned her hand too. Jeff felt sorry for Alice because it caused him to be there now. In the day 12, they talked about Alice's misfortune and said that one day Jeff would be as crazy as Alice. They seemed to be arguing, but it just passed and the four of them chatted together to share their opinions. In the day 13, there was a new member there, named Martha. She didn't talk too much. She has a rabbit before going there and telling it everything. Jeff looked at Martha, which made Capcut think she reminded Jeff of his best friend, Ellie. Jeff didn't seem to want to talk about Ellie, and that made Capcut believe that something was going on between the two of them. In the day 14, his bandages came out. Goody called him to the medical room and took out a rabbit cut. He was confused as to why the cut had to be rubbed. Then when the bandages started to be cut and removed, the doctor asked him what he thought when he saw the cut. Jeff didn't think anything of it. He didn't think the cut was something that bothered him. In the day 15, his parents came again, but with Amanda at that day. Amanda asked how he was and made sure that all was well. Jeff asked about Ellie, but she said Ellie didn't seem to want to talk to her. She also said that she told Jeff to come home immediately because she couldn't stand the attitude of their parents, which made Jeff laugh at that. In the day 16, there's nothing special. He just ate some cookies and fudge from his grandmother with all the people there. In the day 17, Martha tried to talk to Jeff. Capcut said Jeff was lucky that he was the only one Martha spoke to then. Jeff remembered that yesterday was Ellie's 16th birthday. Jeff remembered that Ellie was like a different person when she had a boyfriend, namely Brooke. In the day 18, there were 4 of them because Bond finished his program there, but his parents don't seem to want Bond to come home. Then Jeff saw him sitting there watching a TV show. They watched, told stories, and laughed together. In the day 19, it snowed that day. They imagined the situation out there and Sadie proposes to leave. At first, they were not allowed, but the other nurse allowed them and eventually they went out together under the supervision of the 2 nurses. Then they enjoyed the snow that night by playing snow throwing and forming a snowman named Bunny. In the day 20, a new person joined them, namely Rankin. They talked about something about friends. According to Jeff, a good friend is one who is willing to lie for the sake of his friend's happiness, such as when he asks if he looked fat in those jeans, then a good friend will say that it is great. In the day 21, there was group session. They did something like a theater and Jeff's group is Juliet and Martha. With a line of the dialogue, would you like another cookie? Juliet had the idea for the husband forgetting his wife's name for that group. In the day 22, he watched Fun with Marjorie and Eric show again. Capcut asked him about the show. What did he say if he was the parents? Jeff answered that it's okay, everything's gonna be alright, and he learned that no matter how bad things get, there are always people who love you. In the day 23 until 25, he found something weird and jerk about Rankin. He just told it to Sadie. It was a birthday. In the day 26, Jeff and Sadie were having sex, but it didn't literally a sex, but just they squeezed each other's. In the day 27, Sadie said that Jeff attempted suicide because he knew that his love for Ellie was one-sided. He was jealous to see Ellie with her boyfriend. Jeff had denied it at first, but on second thought it seemed true that he was jealous. Burke, Ellie's boyfriend, is also jealous of their closeness. This becomes a fight between men who fight over women's back. In the day 28, he remembered the strange night when Rankin was in his bed without clothes on. Maybe you can guess what happened later that night. Jeff hoped it was just a dream, but he realized it wasn't a dream. In the day 29, it was a dirty day because they showered in the same shower. Then Rankin asked Jeff to suck his, something like sausage. In the day 30, Capcut said that it was two-thirds of the way through Jeff 45 days. But Jeff felt that sometimes he wanted to stay there sometimes, and sometimes the other way around. Capcut asked something about love, but he couldn't answer what it was. In the day 31, Capcut again asked Jeff about love. He asked Jeff if he didn't want to feel love. However, Jeff wasn't confident. He wasn't sure that there would be someone who loved someone like him. He also didn't know what to do between his friendship with Ellie. In the day 32, Jeff told Sadie what had happened between him and Rankin. Sadie wasn't too surprised by that. Then she asked again what had happened between him and Ellie, but he didn't know what to say. In the day 33, a woman's scream was heard, but Rankin thought it was Jeff's. He covered Jeff's mouth with his hand. It turned out to be Martha, and soon the nurse came. Then the nurse said that he had to speak to Dr. Katsropos in the morning. In the day 44, the Capcut said that the reason he committed suicide was his sexuality problem, that he was gay, but he denied it and said he did the same with Sadie. Then Capcut said that Sadie had died the night Martha screamed from her nightmare. Jeff burst into tears when he noted the news of Sadie's death. In the day 35, he remembered the night he attempted suicide that day. He talked about spending the night with a lot of people in Times Square. Then, after that, he tried to do it. However, he didn't do it there. He did it at his house. He drank a bottle of whiskey before doing so, for starters, as he saw from the movie. In the day 36, Jeff's parents came back. Capcut suggested that when Jeff left, he would change schools. Jeff thought that it would actually be better if he was at his old school, but he was thinking about Amanda. He knew that Amanda wouldn't be able to get through it all. In the day 37, he told Capcut everything that happened when he tried to kill himself. It started when approaching Christmas Eve. Burke asked Jeff to help him choose a gift for Ellie. In essence, something happened between the two of them. Jeff confessed his feelings for Brooke, and Brooke didn't think that Jeff was gay. Ellie was even more surprised by that because she had only just learned this fact. In the day 38, Capcut asked Jeff what he was doing with Rankin. He felt embarrassed, but he should tell it. In the day 39, Capcut asked Jeff a lot of things, like his favorite color, his favorite song, what he thinks about women, and etc. Jeff then asked him to keep the fact that he was gay to his parents. He asked himself to be the one to tell this to his parents. In the day 40, Jeff felt that Sadie's departure was his fault. He felt that Sadie left him because he was gay, and so did Ellie. However, he tried to accept himself and would tell Ellie the truth later. In the day 41, they talked about the possible response when people around Jeff found out he was gay. However, Jeff tries to accept it. In the day 42, there's a new kid named Squirrel. The name is very cute. That day Jeff talked about a lover who would give him a Valentine one day. In the day 43, Capcut told his parents about Jeff's progress and said he was gay, which Jeff agreed. They were surprised at first, but Amanda said it was possible. His father said nothing and tried to process what was happening. In the day 44, he was dreaming about Sadie. And then in the day 45, this was the day he was discharged from the hospital. He talked about many things he wanted to do, especially he wanted to improve his relationship with Ellie. He is very grateful for the 45-day program by Dr. Katsropus he passed there. Okay, maybe this is the end for my story about suicide note. I hope you enjoy the story. Thank you and bye-bye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.